Hello and welcome to Joie de Vivre. This week I was meditating on why is it that adulting sometimes feels like it's just so hard, right? There's just so much to wrap your head around all the time. Responsibilities, task lists, obligations, commitments, all of the above, and of course, much of that has to do with making a living and feeling financially stable and having enough money set aside for retirement and all of the above. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. And then, of course, if you have dependents, if you have aging family members or children, that just adds a whole other load. It's hard enough if you don't have those things. I mean, survival, right? It's hard enough getting the taxes in, paying all the bills, dry cleaning, doctor's appointments. I mean, it can really be overwhelming sometimes. But when did adulting become such a hassle? When did it become so not fun? Well, and I'm guilty of this myself, but I think that a lot of times we just take all of it way too seriously. And we prioritize everything equally. Like a lot of times, so many things seem urgent or important that, all we're doing is just going through and checking off tasks and trying to get everything done and trying to get to the end of the day and trying to get to the end of the week so we can maybe have like an hour to ourselves on the weekend. But, what if it didn't have to be all so intense and so exhausting? I mean, what if there could be a little more lightness and a little more play in the whole thing? I mean, we're only on this planet for a limited time. And do we really want to be spending all that time worrying about things or reacting to perceived threats? And when I say perceived threats, I mean threats that we think are threats, but are really things that we're making up in our own heads. Do we really want to spend all that time competing, like trying to keep up with the Joneses and even trying to make sure that our kids have A, B, C, D, and E all the way to Z? Nowadays, I feel like there's so much pressure on people to really do everything bigger and better all the time and, more intense, more sensational, more unbelievable. The shock value of anything, whether it's a news headline or a kid's birthday party, right? It's everything has to be bigger and more amazing. I think we all just kind of need to calm down a little bit, you know, simplify. Again, sort of look for the lightness in things. Look at where we can also clear things off our plate. I mean, part of the problem is that, we, from the time we're in grade school, right, we're put onto this achievement course and and we start to operate that way. We start to operate according to achievement and productivity and, all the things we have to get done, all and getting high scores and so you can get into the right college. And as somebody I know said that, the education system is great rat race training. And I think that's true. It's excellent rat race training. And we end up learning to live our lives in our minds, in our heads. And we forget how to play. We forget how to be spontaneous. We forget how to just lighten up. Everything starts to seem very heavy. So, a lot of people I know are stressed out and struggling and burning out. And there's a way in which our society has created that for us. And then there's a way that we take it on and we do it to ourselves. So this is how we've been trained. This is how we've been conditioned. But we can also unlearn some of these tendencies. We can get out of our heads and into our bodies more of the time. Out of our heads and into our hearts. Because I think we spend a lot of time in our heads planning, worrying, trying to prepare for future scenarios, trying to check off the items off the list. We do that a lot of the time to the expense of the joy and the play and the spontaneity and the freedom that we used to experience when we were younger children. That part of us still exists, but we've sort of tucked it away. We get to that when we were done with all the responsibilities and the obligations. But what if more of that part of ourselves could be alive during the day, in the present moment, when we're getting the kids ready for school, when we're, even preparing a presentation at work? What if that energy could be present more of the time, more of a lightness, more of a playfulness? None of this, or most of it, is not life and death. You're going to get dinner on the table. Sometimes it's going to be home cooked, other times it's going to be takeout, but it's okay. Nobody's perfect. We can all get lost, right? And what is adulting? We can all get lost in the responsibilities and the heavy burdens. And it's so important, especially in today's world, for us to tap into that lighter energy because the world really needs that right now. Light energy is a healing source. It's not shallow, it's not fluff, it's not ignoring problems of the world to adopt a lighter approach to things. It's actually helping yourself and everyone else. So I don't know. How can you help yourself have a little more lightness? Maybe you want to do a little skipping, skipping on your way to work. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? But maybe sometimes we need to like let go of some of this adult conditioning that we have. Do a little skipping on the way to work. Do a little dance if you work from home, do a little dance before you sit down on the computer in the morning. If that sounds ridiculous to you, well, maybe you're taking yourself a little too seriously. How can you add a little more lightness and play to your life? If it's not skipping, if it's not doing a silly dance, what is it? So those are my 2 cents for the week, and I hope that you yourself can find a little more lightness, a little more play, a little more joy and spontaneity this week. And if you do, let me know about it. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear. All right. Thanks a lot. I will see you next time.